This new year will be like most years, a combination of threats and opportunities. Are you prepared? In the Economic War Room, our job is to inform, educate, and help you prepare. Our purpose? To promote liberty, security, and values that will last multiple generations. And so much of what you will be faced with involves money. In this first episode of 2025, we will cover the challenges, but we will also share 2 world-changing strategies. You'll not want to miss a moment. Join me in the Economic War Room as we strategize how to win in 2025. The Economic War Room is not just a TV show or a podcast. It's much more than just a think tank, media outlet, or policy shop. We are a solutions to action tank, STAT for short, STAT. No other show on television comes with a free 20 to 50 page economic battle plan in PDF format, emailed to you weekly if you sign up. This document provides a recap of the topic we cover, backup documentation, and an action plan. And we're going to need all of the above this new year. The challenges will come fast and furious. And with President Trump returning to the White House, we will see sparks fly. In today's show, I'll cover some of the issues. Over the year, we will do deep dives into most of them. That will be our first segment. Then in the second and third segments, I'll bring in my colleague Mike Carter to strategize. Let's divide the challenges into domestic and foreign issues. Trump is going to shake up both, and there will be pushback. It will be a political war in the new year. Domestically, we have a serious debt problem. Our debt is over $36 trillion and grew more than $3 trillion in the last year. We're adding debt at the rate of $1 trillion every 4 months. And if we stay on this course, that pace will quicken to $1 trillion every 3 months. Put that in context. Consider all the credit card debt of every American combined. That's just a little over $1 trillion. It's taken most of us lifetimes to build that much debt. And yet our government takes on 3 to 4 times that in a year, and it's only getting worse. This is absolutely unsustainable. The good news? 2 of the smartest and wealthiest men in America have committed to serve DOGE, D-O-G-E. That's the Department of Government Efficiency. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are fresh from tackling the Trump election victory, and they're ready to tackle big government excess, waste, and fraud. Will they succeed? I sure hope so. There will be challenges in the courts. There will be challenges in Congress. There will be pushback from the bureaucracy, and yet I'm optimistic. Now, I'm also realistic. Most government spending is mandatory. It couldn't be touched without Congress, and even then, it's unlikely they'll touch Social Security, Medicare, interest on the debt. Discretionary spending, that's much smaller, and the largest component there is defense. It's unlikely in this troubled world that we can reduce defense by much, although we may be able to redirect spending from unnecessary woke programs to actual warfighting capabilities. If we could cut 10% from the discretionary spending, we could save maybe $200 billion a year. That does add up, but it's hardly a dent in a $7 trillion budget. So can DOGE save us? It's unlikely on its own, but it will help. And if we can slow spending and increase growth, we might find a path out. You know, Marvel movie fans, before they went stupid woke, it's sort of like Doctor Strange, I think it was in Infinity War, saying there was one scenario out of 14 million that the good guys could win. Now, it's not really that bad here, but it's certainly not good, and DOGE will help. The next area that we need to talk about is reduced regulation. This is a critical puzzle piece. If Trump can re-energize animal growth spirits, and yes, animal growth spirits is an official economics concept, our odds go up. Drill, baby, drill. That can bring cheaper and more reliable energy. A renewed American spirit will do wonders. Get people out of socialist jobs in government and back to the private sector. Speaking of jobs, the immigration plan will matter. If President Trump can deport some of the illegals who are here, preferably starting with the criminals, it will do wonders and also bring some hiccups. The labor market will tighten, and that can be inflationary. Fortunately, rising wages will also help alleviate some of the inflation pain. The key will be to avoid a wage price spiral. I've got to get more money because prices went up, or prices went up because they have to pay workers more. We've got to avoid that. This is only accomplished with increased productivity. If President Trump can end birthright citizenship, it should also help by reducing the attractiveness of entering America illegally. Now, we still have a demographics problem. The fact that we've had so few babies has been offset by immigration. So we're going to need to change the economics a bit to encourage American families to have babies. The MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again, that also has some promise. Eating healthier and taking fewer drugs could help reduce Medicare without cutting benefits. It also might encourage family growth. We must get medical costs down for so many reasons. Add to that Trump's plan for true healthcare cost transparency, and you compound a prescription for success. These policies are very synergistic. Imagine the potential for savings when you know in advance in detail the actual cost of any medical procedure. You could price shop and negotiate. Bending the health curve costs down would go a long way to getting America back on course. And on the international front, expect a trade war. Hopefully, America remains in a strong enough position to win. If we can grow and bring manufacturing home as Trump hopes, we'll be able to threaten tariffs and ultimately come out on top. The challenge is the planet is on the brink of World War III. That's true in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Great allies like France, Israel, South Korea, they're all facing severe challenges. If China invades Taiwan, we're hurting deeply. We don't at this point have the military capability to defeat China and fight other wars. Is this where we see the art of the deal great negotiator pull off a few miracles? For our sake, I sure hope so. Facing an actual shooting war runs serious risks. We can't afford the loss of life. The inflationary impact would be potent, but we also can't afford to appear passive or weak. So here's two big challenges I think we'll face. First, we could see a resurgence of inflation. Tariffs can make foreign goods more expensive. Deporting illegal workers makes wages higher. Growing debt means higher interest rates. The best offsets will be increased productivity, reduced regulation, and increased domestic energy output. This could be a race to see if inflation can be contained. The second big challenge will be political. Trump policies will be under fire by the media, members of Congress, the deep state bureaucracy, and in many cases, the courts. He has to return to campaign mode, fully prepared to take his case directly to the American people. He must increase affinity with women, young people, Black Americans, and Hispanic Americans. I suspect we'll see a continuation of Trump rallies to get the message out. I attended one of those this past year. It was electric. It's just the thing you'd need to break through the traditional media stranglehold of information. The best way to reach these groups is by promoting liberty, security, and values. Pandering's not going to work. We can't tell people, trust us, trust us. That's what the Democrats have done. Success comes by restoring the American dream. Now, we need to take a break. When we come back, I'll be joined by my colleague, Mike Carter. We have two strategies that can help you prosper during this critical new year. In uncertain times, finding stability in the economy can feel challenging. But what if you could navigate economic volatility while honoring your biblical values? At Timothy Plan, they believe this balance is possible. Timothy Plan filters its volatility-weighted ETFs and family of mutual funds through a biblical pro-life and pro-family lens, so you can see competitive returns and moral responsibility, helping you to weather the economic storms. With Timothy Plan, align your investments with your values while adapting to our ever-changing culture. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has been recognized leader in biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, your bridge between faith, finances, and the future. Visit timothyplan.com or call 1-800-TIM-PLAN or 1-800-846-7526. Investing includes risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com.
Washington said paper money opens the door to every species of fraud and injustice. Jefferson said paper is poverty. Hamilton said to emit an unfunded paper as the sign of value ought not to continue a formal part of the Constitution. The founders hated paper money, so they put a pirate money clause in the Constitution for our state to use. Learn more at transactionalgold.com.
In our first segment, we talked about the challenges and opportunities of the new year. Now, in the second and third segment, we're welcoming my friend, Mike Carter. He's a friend of more than 30 years. He's been a colleague for more than 10. Mike, welcome to the Economic War Room.
Great to be in the Economic War Room today, Kevin. Thanks.
Did you get to hear the review of the challenges that we had?
I did, and certainly something that we've been living in the war room on a regular basis here. But you look at inflation, and we certainly have a very clear solution for that. And then obviously the geopolitical, which has been a hot spot for you and what we've been working on here for the last 10 years. But truly, we are I think we're in a cold World War III right now. And there's one spark and that could ignite the whole thing. And that's going to change the dynamics geopolitically, but also economically.
And people need to be prepared for it. So we've got two solutions that we're looking at, both hatched in the Economic War Room. Mike is leading charges in both of these. And the first of these, let's talk about the NSIC Institute. What's that stand for?
Absolutely, the National Security Investment Consultant Institute. It's kind of a mouthful. Some people confuse it with NCIS, but it's the National Security Investment Consultant Institute. And really what that's about is helping financial advisors to understand what's going on geopolitically, how that impacts investments out there, and how to really help their clients align their money with their values. We're excited to really take that to the next level. You know, we've had this ongoing for a number of years now. We've been doing training at Liberty University. We've got a team of people who have been through it, but we're at the point now where we've got the facilities. We've got the team to really launch and take to the next level right now. And there's not a better time to be launching this in a big way.
All right, so let's describe. First off, the recognition is that geopolitical events matter to your investments. So everybody watching, if they have investments, geopolitical, I've been in the investment game now 42 years. Gosh, I'm feeling old and gray. But actually, I feel healthy and good. We know geopolitical events actually have a severe impact on portfolios. If a war were to break out, it would impact a certain way. And advisors are just not at all prepared in general.
Look at what they've been doing for the last 40 years. You've been in the business 40 years. It's been kind of I don't take this the wrong way, an easy ride to say, okay, let's just go with an index fund and ride the curve out there, and I'm going to do pretty good. Geopolitical war hits, World War III hits, and you've got investments in China or you've got investments somewhere else. It's a different game. And that means where you've got to understand what's going on. You have to have a game plan with your clients to make sure that if these things happen, this is what it looks like. And it might be time, continue. Some of these index funds have done very well. And we're not saying to get away from those at all. But have a game plan where you say, there might be times where it's better to be a selector of certain stocks versus just putting everything in index and letting it ride.
Yeah, now we're not giving advice on this program. We don't give investment advice. We don't know your situation. That's why you should have a financial advisor. When I started, Mike, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, when I left college and started in business, was in the 700s. Now it's in the 40,000s.
Well, you said you feel old and gray. I feel old and maybe slightly balding, but I remember being in an investment club with you when we were going through and picking out the individual stocks of what we were going to invest in and buy and why to buy those and why this company was good. We've lost some of that art out there. And by the way, some of those paid off in a pretty significant way. I wish I would have kept them longer.
Some did, some didn't. That's the nature of investing. But here's the point: was everybody went into index funds and they didn't realize that index funds were going to promote a woke leftist agenda. I mean, we were warned about this by the founder of Vanguard, who wrote about it, and shortly before his death in the Wall Street Journal, he wrote an op-ed and saying BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard control the industry. He built the industry. He was a tremendous guy, but he said you can't give them voting authority and control over companies, and yet that's exactly what's happened. And so if you wonder why Disney went excessively woke, it's because BlackRock told them to, right?
Yeah. And the scary part about that is what the last data that I've seen is I think 53% of investments are in index funds right now. And that's on its way to 71, 72% in the near future. You want to talk about giving away political control to the elites or to those that think they know better. There's no better way to do that and say, okay, well, just take my money and do what you want and set the political agenda for it, and I'm not going to pay attention to it.
That's why parents and grandparents say, I want to take my kids to a movie. It used to be an obvious, I'll just take them to a Disney movie, but now you've got to worry about the gay agenda. You've got to worry about so many things. We've got a friend, Art Alley, Timothy Plan, who has sponsored this program. But Art says, I don't want one penny of my investments going to abortion. And so he screens them out. The Timothy Plan is about biblically responsible investing. There's not anything that's been about national security responsible investing, although we do have a new contact with an ETF, the NSI, National Security Index, that's coming up. Because the woke is one side. The other side is China has invaded Wall Street and captured a lot of our money to produce weapons that point back at us.
Yeah, and as a father who has a daughter in the Air Force, nothing irritates me more than to think that we're helping to equip our adversaries with weapons that can be turned back against us. It makes no sense at all.
So NSIC Institute is training financial advisors that can help real clients. You've got some great progress here. You've started monthly threat assessments. I'm involved in that, and client letters that you give to advisors. Here's a sample client letter, not to advise, but to say, here's the geopolitical things happening. You have ongoing calls and trainings and meetings. What's the reception been like?
Yeah, well, it's great. And I think what we're seeing is on the client side, more and more people saying, help me find an advisor that really understands what's happening beyond business as usual out there. And so what we want to do within the Institute is create that association, a chance for thought leaders to come together to think through what those solutions look like, bring in other experts on these topics, and work towards what those solutions might look like. Now, we don't have a silver bullet. We don't know what's going to happen next. But we can be prepared, and we can give the same type of threat briefings that you've given at the DoD and everything else. We can get a pulse for what's going on and hopefully be somewhat one or two steps ahead. I just watched the 2024 show. Amazing what was accomplished, what happened, what we foresaw, what we foretold. Same thing for your financial advisor. Wouldn't it be great if they had some of those insights when they sit down with you and say, okay, let's work on what the game plan is. Here's where it's at today, but if we start to see these things happen, we might adjust the portfolio this way. And so we'll be working together to create those solutions and better equip these advisors to have a holistic approach geopolitically, economically, everything that exists out there.
Yeah, well, thanks, Mike, for being a real leader in this and working with the people. Look, here's the vision. If we could have $1 trillion of assets with 10,000 advisors, we could democratize finance. The cream doesn't have to go to the big money via private equity. We can have better opportunities for actual real Americans, but we can promote liberty, security, and values. You know, Wall Street's promoting ESG, environment, social governance, and governance, which is really a quota system for boards. That's not going to fly in 2025. So you need to find more and better opportunities. What we need to do is band together and get our financial advisors on and into the National Security Investment Consultant Institute. You can learn more at nsic.org. All right, we're going to have to take another break. When we come back, we'll have another solution. How do you protect yourself from the coming inflation?
Oh, hi, I'm Kevin Sorb, and I'm here to tell you about coffee. Well, not really, but I'm going to use coffee to illustrate my point. Here we have several different coffees, each with its own unique characteristics. First, we have instant coffee. This coffee pretends to be coffee, but it's not really coffee at all. It's a fraud. Plus, it tastes terrible. I'm out. Next, we have woke coffee. Their coffee actually tastes pretty good, until you find out that when you drink it, you have to admit that you've oppressed other coffees in the past. Insanity. I'm out. Next, we have Big Tech Coffee. Now, these guys used to encourage folks to share with others what they thought about their coffee. But now, if you say you don't like Big Tech Coffee, they'll take away your coffee pot. I'm out. And this brings us to Patriot Mobile Coffee, right? This is one big cup of truth and freedom. There's no fraud here. Patriot Mobile is America's real Christian conservative wireless provider. Patriot Mobile gives back millions of dollars every year to organizations that are on the front lines fighting for our freedoms. Patriot Mobile offers the best nationwide 4G and 5G coverage on the same networks as the other major carriers. So you'll get the same great coverage, along with 100% US-based customer support, while knowing you are supporting a company that shares your conservative values. Switch to Patriot Mobile today by visiting patriotmobile.com or call 972-PATRIOT.
In our first segment, we talked about some of the challenges and opportunities for the new year 2025. Then in our second segment, we talked with Mike Carter about the NSIC Institute, how you can weaponize your money, not just to grow it better, but to help preserve and protect America at the same time, from wokeness at home and from China abroad and any other international threat. There's no advisor other than our advisors that I think really comprehend all the things that are going on. So we train financial advisors at that. You can learn more at nsic.org. Now in this third segment, how do you beat inflation? And I'm really excited to have you back, Mike, to talk about pirate money. Can you explain the progress, what you're doing?
Absolutely. But even before we get into that, let's look at one of the headlines that just came out. We're on the fourth month of the highest inflation today at the time we're taping this. I think inflation is set for 2.7%. We know some of the policies coming up could have some of the same issues. So this is a real issue that needs to be addressed, and we've got a real solution for it. So I'm so excited about pirate money, and that your question was, explain that. The ability to be able to take part of your money, put it in a bullion depository backed by the state, hold that money, and then be able to spend that debit card as an ATM, spend that gold with an ATM card anywhere you spend MasterCard.
So if I don't have gold, and by the way, I do have gold and I use it, but if I don't have gold, I could actually, with legislation, do what?
With legislation, that gold could be legal tender. Gold and silver can be legal tender according to Article 1.
But how do I get it? I can't afford gold. I don't have any gold.
Yeah, that's the beautiful part of it. Because, or if you can't afford gold, I get people saying, I don't even know how to buy gold. I don't know how to do this thing. What if you could make this so simple that it's a matter of just getting online, downloading an app, saying, okay, I'm going to convert some of my dollars to gold. I want to have some ready money in gold and or silver. You purchase that at spot price plus a small handling fee out
like
there.
$1 million, like $100,000. What's the minimum?
You can purchase as little as 1 cent if that's all you want to be able to purchase.
Okay, and this is, because we get these questions all the time. Is this cryptocurrency? Is this Bitcoin? This is electronic. If I don't own it, if I don't hold it, I don't own it. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I do hear that, and people are so excited to hear that you actually do own the gold. It's held in a vault, secured by Lloyd's of London. It might be Brinks. It might be a state bullion depository in Texas. We have our own state bullion depository here. Other states are looking at using third parties or possibly even using Texas. But that gold is held in your wallet, basically in the vault.
In your name.
In your name. It's always there. It's not.
If you wanted to go get it out, assuming there'd be a minimum to take it out, you could take it out, right?
Yeah. I mean, you'd go down and fill.
This is what I don't get. People say, if I don't hold it, I don't own it. Well, do you have money in your checking account? I'll ask them. I was like, do you hold those $20, $100 bills, or do you actually have money there? Well, if I don't, but I could write a check on it. And if I understand correctly, and we've been working on this together, the state of Texas, Utah, Oklahoma, Kansas, Alaska, Florida, I know I'm leaving some out. You as a citizen could actually have them buy gold for you, hold it, and you could write a check on it or electronically transfer it like with a debit card.
Exactly. It makes gold functional currency, gold and silver functional currency, so I can actually spend it if I need it. And
it's not mandatory.
Not mandatory, optionality. And we just think it's wise and prudent to have some ready money set aside in gold and say something in case something were to happen. Now, we don't give financial advice in the show, but we do talk pretty consistently. We see gold as a store of value, not necessarily an investment. Unfortunately, the dollar hasn't held its value so well. So it'd be nice to have a hedge to say, okay, if the dollar continues doing what it's doing, maybe I should have some ready money over here that just will keep a steady store of value that's in case I need it someday. I'm still going to transact in dollars. Everything's done in units, in dollars globally. Even I see the BRICS nations like, wow, we're going to measure how to do this. What's the measure unit? And the dollar seems to be the king out there still. Yeah. And will continue to be so.
Yeah, so just imagine this. Let's say you have an extra $100 and you decide to hold it in the form of gold or silver, and you can spend it anytime you need. You can access it anytime you need. It's electronically transferred. That brings economic justice, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And what we see is, now everybody has a steady store of value. Everybody's got an equal chance. Their money's not being printed, because every time that money gets printed out there, those closest to the money benefit most. Those out in other parts of the world, like, as that money gets printed, their money gets devalued. That little bit I've been saving is now worth 2.7% less than it was 4 months ago, or earlier this year. That hurts hardworking Americans out there. And I don't care what income status you are, what demographic status, when people understand this and how it works, that they can actually afford to own gold now, they can be able to spend that gold if they need to in an emergency, and it's easy and seamless, backed by the states, and it's in our Constitution for such a time as this. They are blown away. And that's why we're seeing the movement across America right now. We've got 20 states actively working legislation, 30 states that we're talking to right now. We've got 5 states out that have already approved gold and silver as legal tender. And so we've seen a whole movement of what's happening here. This is real. We just had the CFO of Florida launch a major support for this thing and a study analysis that he's doing. Utah is moving forward aggressively. Just allocated a significant part of their rainy day budget towards gold. Things are happening.
Well, we've got good friends here in Texas, Mark DeRazio on the House side, Tan Parker and Brian Hughes on the Senate side, and it does work. I mean, I know the technology works. There's a commercial application. We've covered it on the show called Glint. In fact, you can see a video of me actually using gold to buy oranges at a supermarket. We'll put a link to that in our battle plan so you can actually watch it happen. The proof of concept exists. I don't know what technology the states will adopt, but I do know that there are good people in a bunch of states that are entering legislation. We need the American people, all the viewers of this show, to get behind this. How do they learn more and how do they do more?
Yeah, go to transactionalgold.com. If you've not read the book Pirate Money yet, I strongly encourage that. Kevin, you've done a beautiful job. I'm hearing from legislators. I'm hearing from treasurers. I keep getting these books sent to me. I heard Glenn Beck on the radio. He had an interview with him the other day.
He says he's read it twice.
Read the book twice.
Yeah?
I'm like, yes, because it's an easy to read book. And when people see it, there's this aha factor of, wow, it's constitutional. The Supreme Court precedents are there, and the technology exists today to do this.
You can get the book at piratemoneybook.com. You can see Mike and me podcast piratemoneyradio.com that airs on American Family Radio, over 200 stations. You can learn more at transactionalgold.com. Here's the last question. Proposition 7 went on the ballot. Do people want it?
Yeah, 77% of Texans said, hey, we want to see this happen. And we're seeing that kind of momentum across the country.
That is 1.6 million voters voted for this in the primary. Mike and I were there with our team, and we got it put on the Republican Party platform. They want it. Republicans want it. Democrats want it. Why? Because they don't know how to solve the inflation problem. We have houses, clothing, food, gas. Look, 100 years ago, priced in gold. They're priced about the same today, or maybe a little cheaper. The public and the legislators are behind this. So, Mike, thank you for all your great work on Pirate Money.
Oh, it's exciting to be a part of it. I ask that everybody out there get involved. Contact your legislator. Let's make this happen this year.
All right, we're going to summarize all this in our free economic battle plan. Get a copy at economicwarroom.com. Remember, what we see as a marketplace, our enemies view as a battle space. This is Kevin Freeman from the Economic War Room.